Today.
It dropped today. So,
Today.
look, one of the big things we hear yesterday was Feige taking the role of Star Wars. Now, that's going to be the biggest news of the week. Nope. And I don't know if maybe it's because Sony wanted to say, hey, look, he's still doing stuff with us too, because Sony and Marvel, they have come to an agreement. Everybody thought it was going to be dead in the water, that it was just going to be now Venom and Spidey, and sad Tom Holland was going to be a thing. Well, not the case. Tom Holland posted a Wolf of Wall Street clip to where he goes, I'm not going anywhere. It's one of my favorite clips. And he's like, I'm staying, and people losing their minds, and the show must go on. The show does go on. It is going to happen. Spidey will continue in the MCU. Riley, give me the breakdown here. What are some of the overall deals here? It's because it's not just Sony and Disney making a deal about Spider-Man. There's other shit involved.
Yeah, Sony and their PlayStation Vue platform have continued their deal, which is the cable network I use, or not network, but the platform I use. So we're getting more ESPN and all the ESPN Plus, all the FX, everything
FX?
under the FX. Ooh. Everything under the Disney banner is going to be available on the Sony PlayStation. So if you look at that deal, right, you go, okay, well, they're playing nice, getting it all out to people. This also happens. So we're getting one more Spider-Man movie in the MCU, so the third Spider-Man. And he will appear in another MCU movie. We don't know what that one is.
Right, they're gonna choose that.
So two.
Yeah, right.
And the third Spider-Man from the Homecoming trilogy, that movie's coming on 2021. Is that what it was?
July 16th, 2021. It's been dated. They have been working on it. I mean, it was interesting.
Did they start principal on it?
No, they've been writing it now. They brought in the same writers from Part 2, Far From Home. But this was before they kissed and made up. Right. They were like, okay, so how are they doing this without the MCU?
I'll tell you, man, they had to. From the way that they set that movie up at the end.
I know, you have to.
You had to. I mean, you could have come up with another story, of course. But just the way that they set that thing up, they had to find a way, because it's just...
It would be a bummer, man.
I don't want to spoil what happens, but they leave this huge cliffhanger at the end. You're like, oh shit, what's going to go down now? They figured it all out, and we're telling another story now. That would have been a big bummer. But the big question is, what happens with the speculation with Venom now? Does that just go away? Does he not show up in Venom? Did he not? Because he could still do movies with him, but do they want to do?
The specifics aren't out really yet on this deal, because remember they broke up because it was they wanted 50-50, or then we heard they were 30 whatever. Right. So if we can assume that they came to a deal, I wonder if that deal also includes, hey, we're going to put him in Venom too.
Right.
They can't. And what does it mean for the two? Do we wrap up the MCU storyline that's Far From Home, right? He shows up in an MCU movie, and then Tom Holland continues, and he shows up in Venom, and he shows up in Morbius, and he shows up in the Madam Web with the other thing that just broke.
You think that's going to still go down, that Madam Web thing now?
Why not?
I think absolutely. Yeah. Morbius is filming right now.
Yeah. Right.
Venom 2 is filming, or getting ready. They're building their Spider-Man universe. And maybe it won't happen for a while. This Madam Web story that Snyder broke, actually, is great. I don't know a lot about it, but maybe it'll go. There's a lot that they're working on in the Spider-Man universe, and Venom and Morbius are just the ones that made it to the finish line first.
Kate, did you know about any of this?
Yeah, because I was here that we talked about it the last time. Yeah, and I sort of feel like it reminds me of Michael Jordan going out of the Chicago girl, but Michael Jordan went out of retirement. And then he played baseball. Or he got retired, then he played baseball, then he came back from retirement. I sort of feel like, what are the odds we're going to do the inverse of this story again next week? Where they're like, no, just kidding. They didn't actually come up with a deal. Because it was just a week and a half ago.
Well,
but you guys aren't super surprised by this, right?
No,
I mean, eventually, I'm surprised they came to an agreement so fast. But I knew it was going to happen.
I think
at some
a lot of this Star Wars stuff too. Probably, I'm telling you, I bet you it all combines. It's not a coincidence that news comes out yesterday and this comes out today.
Right.
Right.
Well, I'm wondering this.
Yeah.
This deal that you pointed out to me, the PlayStation Vue deal, they want that is a lot of stuff. FX, ESPN, all these things on that platform. Could it be that Sony's like, oh shit, we do need to play nice with Disney, and it was more of that than it is maybe the Star Wars stuff.
No, but I think that it all combines. I think it all has a lot to do. And I again, this deal has been done for a little bit, the same way that the Feige did. Sony knew about what was going on with Feige also. Maybe that's why they said the thing about him being too busy or whatever it might be. But clearly the busy thing was a stupid thing to say, because it's like, that's when Sony should have kept quiet for a little bit. And this worked out on the deal. And I don't know, maybe it's also because one of those things, I don't know. Maybe they listen, because if you look at the majority of people. It looked like most people. There were a lot of people who were not favoring Disney. That's absolutely true. But most people were saying, "Come on, Sony, just make this thing happen."
Which I still don't understand because Disney was asking for so much money. But that's just me.
We don't know the specifics of everything. We know a lot of it, and we all said the same thing. If they're asking for that much, and Sony was willing to bend, then what's and maybe maybe you're right though. Maybe we need to find out whether we will or not what these specifics are of the deal. I think that we might.
It might start coming out.
It might start saying what it is, and we hope that it's fair publicly. You know that not that any of us are going to fucking benefit from it, but if we look at it and we say, okay, you know what, they all played nice, and it's not a bully situation. They all played nice because what we don't want to see is that Sony just said, all right, the fans are yelling on us. Disney is kind of the king shit right now. If we don't do this, we're going to be in trouble. Fucking just sign the deal. As opposed to, let's sit down, let's talk again, let's see what we can come up with.
Renegotiation.
Right, and everybody said, okay, look, all right, you know, you're right, let's figure this out. 2 more movies. Because Riley said before this thing started, he goes, well, wait a minute, that's for now. But in 2 years from now, is this going to happen again?
Yeah, get your hashtags ready.
What do you think?
Which one happened?
No, and in 2 years from now, do you think that this is going to happen all over again? Because that's when the deal ends.
Right.
So whatever it is, whatever the 2 more movies.
That's the thing about these movies, right? Like how many negotiations have these people been through ever since all the drama started, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think I'm sure something else is going to happen at some point because if you're, I'm excited now that we're getting a 3rd Spider-Man movie because as much as Far From Home I thought was fine, I love the first one so much, and I love Tom Holland as Spider-Man, and so I think that it benefits both companies to keep these characters, actually hanging out with everybody else, right? I think I wouldn't mind seeing Tom Hardy and Tom Holland, even if he shows up as like a little cameo in a Venom movie, like that's not going to piss anyone off. Like whatever you think of the first movie, so you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And of course seeing him back with all the MCU characters, so it benefits both companies. I could see them maybe renegotiating later on if they want to do another type of Endgame, but I don't think that's going to happen for a long time.
It's also the trick though of that. I mean, you know that they have a plan, but what movie does he show up in out of the? If it's only one MCU movie because he did like 3 or 4 for his last deal, right?
Right. Yeah. And so could that be another Avengers like later on down the line when they finally build, or is it like what do we know? We have
without
a
spoiler, the stuff that happens at the very end, the last post-credit scene, right? Considering a character that he's interacted with, does that happen? Again, I don't want to ruin it for people who haven't seen the movie, but there are things that could happen. Because they're going intergalactic also. They're going very, very much into the intergalactic in this new phase of the MCU. So
I just want to, I mean, this thing has to end sooner or later, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at it now.
What do you mean, the MCU?
Realistically, not the MCU. Spider-Man, Sony, Disney.
Right.
But what do you mean by end? That they're not
their partnership is going to end sooner or later. Whether
so you
it's
think this is it?
But that's my question. I don't know. I mean, what movies can they show up in? If it's another, like, let's say the 3rd Spider-Man movie makes $1 billion, which likely it will.
Probably.
So they go, okay, this is working. Still working. Then the MCU movie that he's going to appear in happens, and that thing makes $1 billion, and whatever it is, I have no idea. Do they go, okay, let's do a couple more? I mean, but
I think there's 2 sides. I think the first side is what we just said before, because of where they arced that last movie.
Yeah.
That they, all right, let's figure this thing out for at least, maybe they sit down and they go, all right, look, let's get this deal done. We got to finish this story. We'll benefit from it. Give them MCU. We'll do this thing with the PlayStation, and then we'll just move on because we'll wrap up that story, and then we won't be beholden to the MCU storyline anymore. Or it's we have such a great deal now with PlayStation. Everything's going really well. Our partnership's back. We're not yelling at each other at the dinner table anymore. Yeah. Let's make some more of these things. So it can go either way.
It could. Yeah, it could. And I just wonder, I mean, Disney is in the business of buying conglomerates.
Right.
Could they sooner or later buy Spider-Man back? Could that be one of the ways to do it? Could they be amicable and work together for 10 years?
Sony's not going to sell that.
Exactly.
If I get to be just a nerd here, my preference is I don't care what happens as long as I get to see Spider-Man and Deadpool.
Yeah, see, that would be
all I care about personally.
So. I wonder, maybe that's the MCU movie they're talking about.
Corporations don't have any legal obligation to publicize deal terms, do they? So we may never know.
Might never know.
It might have been that somebody at Disney got to sleep with the president of Sony's wife for all we know,
Sure.
right?
Yeah, but it could be reporters though too that usually find the shit out and leak the deal memos. So and a lot of times,
don't you feel like that would have already accompanied
what's
this?
that?
Like with the news, like
maybe, but it's people now that it's done. See, normally what happens when a deal hasn't done, what happened last time is that you start to see leaks of the proposed deal because both sides want it to come out of what the other side was asking.
Right.
We haven't heard shit yet because there's a deal.
Fine.
There's already a deal. So now it's going to be the reporters who are investigating. Well, what are the basics of the deal? And then
what's the deal with the deal?
I mean, what's the deal with the deal? Is he here? Is he there? I mean, what's he figuring out? And where's J. Jonah Jameson? I mean, come on.
Is he a spider? Is he a pig?
What's the deal?
What are you guys?
What's film noir?
So again, being nerds, what are you guys excited about this? Like the most?
The continuation of the story.
Yeah.
Okay.
That cliffhanger for me is so awesome, and I feel like it really works well for a certain villain in Spidey's universe that could really work out, and that gets me excited.
Yeah, it just sets. It's like watching a television show, and then it's like, okay, we got the 3 seasons. And then the final season is going to explain it all. Oh, we're not doing the final season.
Right.
What?
That's happened.
What the fuck are you talking about? It's happened many times before.
Yeah. Do you think they're going to bring Doc Ock?
I would love that. I want Craven.
Oh, that would be cool.
I want
too.
Craven the Hunter. That's who I was referencing. I think it's perfect.
Yeah,
I think it's perfect the way they set up the story.
He's already been rumored to be in this thing like the last one.
He was rumored too for his own spin-off movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and reports came out at one point that Gyllenhaal was going to be Craven.
Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Yeah,
Stark, Craven, mad.
Craven.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, Craven.
Everybody, we got Spider-Man back in the MCU.
It's really good. It's funny.
Oh, so good.
That's kind of what Makuga sounds like screaming. It's like
true.
It's the Mad Hatter and Roger Rabbit.
Oh my goodness, Dorina, save me!
That was so funny.
Run, Wendy,